Welcome to the Seer Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Rafael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Seer Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Nikki, Happy New Year. How are you today?
Happy New Year, Sifu. I'm excellent this morning. And how are you?
Exceptional, getting better every day. I got to tell you, I am beyond thrilled. We have an amazing guest with us today. But I want to share something that over the holidays, one of my clients gave me this, right? Can you read that?
Oh.
Says,
Does it say
"Touch me."
backwards? Touch me?
Yeah, touch.
And
Is it backwards? It says,
backwards and
touch me,
your... Mhm.
and your first Kung Fu lesson is free.
Oh, I love that. So are more people touching you?
Well, you know, I want more touching, so
You're
but
a
that
physical
means
person.
that actually means it means it the wrong way, and the way I like it is for me it's how can I impact your life, and not through hitting you, but to impacting you in ways that we can communicate better, in ways that we can grow together, and I know that today Visionary Insights for 2025 is just about that. So
That's
touch
right.
us so we can impact your life. And someone who's going to come and join us, let's go ahead and bring her. Stacy, welcome to the Seer Show. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Sifu. Nice to see you and Nikki.
Yes,
Nice to meet
absolutely.
you. Yes.
So Visionary Insights. Who would you say has truly seen the future besides Leonardo da Vinci, who drew a helicopter way before they were even created?
Who has
Think
seen
of that. Think of that.
who
Have
has
you seen the future?
I seen the future? I'll tell you this, I haven't seen the future, and I kinda love that. So if I can put a spin on your question, and we
Right.
were just talking before we came on live about how sometimes when we say yes to things that we're inclined, that might be in our uncomfortable space, we're inclined to say no. When we say yes, the universe often rewards us with the unexpected, so that the future that we might be anticipating or even hoping for and planning for turns out to be so different, and often in really wonderful ways, right? When we say yes, it often opens up a lot of doors, one door that leads to the next, that leads to the next, and we find ourselves in a very unexpected, wonderful place.
Absolutely. But I also mentioned that sometimes, yes, saying yes will open other doors, but sometimes saying no will open up the right ones as well.
Mhm.
So it's knowing when to say yes and when to say no.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And as you know, I'm a self-proclaimed and very proud introvert, and I support other introverts stepping into their leadership, trying to become more powerful leaders. And what you just said really resonates with a philosophy that it took me decades to embrace, but now I wholeheartedly do. And that's not to feel pressure, to succumb to the pressure to say yes to things that really aren't right for you as an introvert, as a human. Because there are situations that are gonna really call for you to pretend to be something you're not, and to act more extroverted, to be more social in ways that are just not aligned with how you're wired. And when
Mhm.
we pretend to be something we're not, it rarely goes well for us. and for others.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
When go ahead, Nikki.
As Stacey was talking, I was just thinking about alignment. We can say yes to things. Well, for me, I'll speak for myself personally. I say yes to things when I have this feeling inside of me and it feels aligned. And when it doesn't, then I won't say yes. Like several years back, I read Shonda Rhimes, her book, The Year of Yes, where she committed to saying yes to everything, especially things outside of her comfort zone, like going to parties and being around people. I assume she's an introvert.
Probably.
And I read the book and I took it literally. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, I don't have to say yes to everything, but I can say yes to things that feel aligned. Even if there's a little bit of doubt or fear, just say yes if it's aligned.
I love that. I love that. It's very interesting when you talked about the book, and I'm thinking, saying yes to everything. You become a people pleaser, right? And if I run into somebody maybe I haven't seen in some time, and all of a sudden they're doing crack, and they're like, "Hey, would you like to do crack too?" And I'm, well, I want to please you, so sure, I'm going to do crack. No, we have to choose, right?
Yes.
Obviously, there's a reason maybe you haven't seen that person in a while, because they went in a different direction that you wanted to go into. But when we become people pleasers, we forget to please the most important person, and that's us.
Mm-hmm.
Who else makes you shine? Nobody. You have to shine first.
Yeah.
Before anybody even can assist you in your shining. I saw a really interesting video, and it was somebody who took a homeless person, and he had a beard and hair and all messy. And this barber came over and he said, "Listen, I'd love to wash your hair and give you a haircut." And can I tell you, this poor man lost himself. And that's usually what winds up happening to some people. Everybody has a different story, but this particular person lost himself. And he just let himself go. And he let everything go. So he's living on the street, eating out of garbage cans, the whole deal. But when the guy showed him a mirror, and he kind of like was taken back a little bit. He's like, wow.
Yeah.
But when he finished, he showed him the mirror again, and he was blown away.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I cannot allow myself to be that other guy again. So just that little change, looking in the mirror, seeing what you have become or what you can become. I think that's visionary insights right there. So let's look in the mirror. Let's look in the mirror. Make sure the mirror is clean too. Let's look in the dirty mirror, right? We want to make sure that clean that mirror. Make sure, like, this is the thing I used to. I'm going to look in the mirror, make sure. Oh yes, I like this. I want to make sure that I'm happy with what I'm seeing, and without judgment. I'm not going to go, oh man, I got something here, or no. God made me a beautiful soul. Let me just be that.
Oh, I love that.
I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. And it's also a reminder of, just common human decency, things that we take for granted. What an impact that could have on someone when they've lost that.
Mm-hmm.
Insights for 2025. And that's the topic today. If you haven't already heard it, you have to sometimes say yes, but a lot of times you have to say, no way, Jose.
No way, Jose.
And I'm not talking to Jose personally, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That old saying.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say is that sometimes when we feel pressure to say yes, um, or sometimes when we say yes, we feel like we have to say yes and do something in a certain way, right? And I would challenge people. I'd say you can say yes to some things that are a little outside your comfort zone sometimes, but try to approach them in ways that are aligned with who you are. Right. So, and I'll give you an example just from the professional world, right? If you're thinking about, you're asked to go to a conference or to a networking event, and most introverts will, "Oh," that's outside of our comfort zone, and the inclination might be to say no. But you can do something like that in a way that's more aligned with who you are as an introvert, right? So going to a reception, a cocktail party, a conference, and not making your goal to collect 50 business cards, but to say, I want to try to meet, for each day I'm there, or if this is a one night event, I want to meet 3 people, and I want to have some in-depth conversations with them where I can get to know them and they can get to know me. And doing something like that taps into who you are as an introvert, as a human, is probably going to be a lot more effective, fulfilling, less draining for you than if you try to conform to societal pressures of the way you think you're supposed to do it.
Mm,
Yeah,
love that.
that's a really good point. Yeah, it's like looking at how can align with me and my preferences, and then doing that. It's so much more. I think it's better to find 3 people
Yeah.
that would be a good fit for you versus capturing 50 business cards and then you do nothing with them.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm,
exactly.
mhm.
Quality over quantity.
100%.
I was at an event, oh my gosh, maybe 3 years ago, and it was in Miami, and I think there was about 2,500 people, and I did some speaking and so forth there, and I'm watching, and there's a guy by himself, and he was by himself, and I can tell that he needed somebody to talk to, and it was at a cocktail table, and they were giving out food and all this stuff, and I saw a lot of cliques, if you will, people just gathering with each other. They knew each other, and I saw this guy, and I knew some people already. I already had been with some people, and I grabbed a drink, and I went over and I said, "Hey, how are you today?" And it was that simple of
Mm,
a starter, that question, because how many people asked him, "How are you today?" Right. It's giving an importance to somebody who maybe feels like nobody's hearing them.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
and I listened to him. How's the event going for you? So I asked him a bunch of questions. I actually wound up having dinner with that guy, and great guy. He did all these different things, but he was more of an introvert, and it was his first time being in a space with that many people. He was terrified, and I made him feel at ease. And I said, "Well, what are you doing? I'm going to go to this." I said, "Hey, what are you doing later?" He's like, "Nothing." I said, "Well, I'm going to go eat. You going to eat?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, why don't we eat together?" I said, "Okay." So sometimes it's connecting with another person so that we can make those connections,
Yeah.
right? And I had other people there that they were doing all these crazy things for dinner. So I said, I'm not going to go do that. But then later on, because we were there for 3 days, and I said, it was the first day I saw him. And I said, "Hey, I think a bunch of us are going to have breakfast tomorrow. You want to join us?" He's like, "I don't know." I said, "It's not a big deal. It's just breakfast." And he joined us. Right. And
Nice.
and then I slowly introduced him to some of the other people that were around. He became a little bit more comfortable. So when we can see things that maybe don't necessarily align with us, as Nikki's talking about, but it can be helpful to someone else.
Mm,
Could
Mhm.
I have made better connections. There were some people there that I wanted to connect because I wanted to get on their stages. But I said, this guy needs me more than me being on somebody else's stage. So sometimes we need to align ourselves with what's right in front of us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And what you did is you saw him. You saw him for who he is, and kind of prioritized reaching out to another human being
Mhm.
uh, over your any goals that you might have had for yourself, right, at the event. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting when sometimes we say, I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm not sure if I can do that. It's too much pressure. But then one of the questions that I always say to somebody, are you going to die if you say yes? Is it going to kill you? Right? You have one life. Live it. Sometimes it's a lot of pressure, of course, but little baby steps sometimes make a huge difference.
I love that. And I would say I also ask questions like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you say yes? And what's the best thing that could happen? And sometimes that best thing isn't even in your consciousness. You can't even imagine what that best thing is. But giving people that frame, like the world's not going to come to an end, whether you say yes or no, quite frankly. But what could happen? What possibilities are you opening up if you say yes? You just don't know.
Yeah, I love that question because I don't know that it comes natural for many people. What's the best thing that can happen? I think it's more of a default to go to the things that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for that question. What's the best that could happen? And then then your vision aligns with that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for example, am I too good to do this? Am I too good for that? I'm going to an event. I'm there to support somebody who doesn't even know me as a public speaker. And they send me an email. I didn't ask to be on stage. I just said, I'm going to go there. Whenever I go to an event, I always sit in the front. I gotta do VIP. That's just the way I do it.
I sit in the back. Go ahead.
I always sit in the front. You know why? Because I don't want distractions. If you're talking, I don't want somebody next to me talking or I'm in the middle, I can't see. So I'm that guy. I don't know, Nikki, if you saw me at the last event that we were together. I was always in the front. I had my tablet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing. I'm always there. I'm going to participate. So I'm going to an event in April, and he sends an email. If anybody wants to be a speaker at this event, you have to go through these hoops. There's a competition. You have to do a 2-minute speech. And if you pass this, you have to go through a 5-minute speech. And instead of me saying, don't you know who I am? I said, sure, I'll sign up for it. I'll do the 2-minute speech. I'll get to the 5-minute. And if you want me, you can have me as a speaker. But I'm still paying for the event. I didn't even say if I'm a speaker, how much you're going to pay. I didn't get into that stuff because I'm just there to support him. He doesn't know the kind of speaker I am, and that's okay. Sometimes it's not like, don't you know who I am kind of deal. That doesn't always have to play into an effect.
Right.
But sometimes we have to remember that at one point we were beginners.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm a black belt, but guess what? I'm always a white belt first. Show me more. Good
I
morning,
love
Emilio.
beginner's mind. Love it.
Yeah. Visionary Insights 2025. I do have an insight into the future.
Tell us.
You want to know how I get there?
Yeah.
By planning. Right? I think Stacy, I talked about that. I was writing 2025 in 2024. The reason I was doing that is because in the beginning of December, I started writing out my whole year for 20, all the events I'm going to be doing at one of my businesses, and how we're going to do it, the marketing behind it, who's going to be involved, all of these different things I've already started giving out flyers, post-its, messages, the whole deal. But that's how we can have the vision for what we can expect. Now, things are going to change. And, pardon me. And that happens to be my sister, so I will have to call her later. When we consider all of the things that are put in place, and one of my staff said to me, "But what if things come up?" I said, "We adjust. It's that simple." I said, "It's just like when you're driving. You don't just drive and stay in your lane. What if that lane closes? What are you going to do? Stay there until it opens? No, you got to veer off, right? You got to turn. You got to drive. You got to go, oh, somebody's coming. They're going to cut me off. Oops, pull back a little bit. Somebody gives you the finger. That means that you're number one. So I go like this. Thank you."
I love that.
Great.
If anybody ever gives me the finger, I just, I didn't know I had that many fans out there. Thank you. I appreciate it. Right. And it's how you perceive things. So the other thing, and Nikki, you've heard me say this before.
Yeah.
I ask God for a download. What do you expect me to do? How can I guide what I'm doing through your actions, through your plan? So that's how I live my life. I pray every morning and I ask for guidance. How can I be a better person, a father, a friend, a partner, whatever it is? How can I do that? And I need your guidance. So
Yeah, but you've given yourself a plan for 2025, right? You have that foundational framework, and then whatever the universe brings you, whether it's new opportunities or it's challenges, you can weave it into that framework. You can, like you said, veer as you need to, and allow for the great stuff that's unexpected. But you have your foundation, right? You know what you're working toward, which I think is so important.
Oh yeah. Many, many years ago, I had a friend of mine. I own a wood shop. I do high custom woodworking, but I didn't have time to do my kitchen. And so my friend came in and he measured, and he's phenomenal. He measured incorrectly, and he left 14 inches of space when he installed the cabinets, and he's all mad at himself. And I said, "Wow, look at that, an opportunity." He goes, I'm so mad. I messed up. I'm like, I wanted a broom closet right there. You just didn't know it. So I said, "Why don't you build me this? Let's get the door. That's a long height door because you missed everything, right? So it's 14 inches. And this way it's in the kitchen, and it's beautiful. We opened this big door. I got my brooms right there. It's perfect." And he's like, "Man, most people would have had me go back and read this whole counter space and this whole thing." And I said, "Well, you're not working with most people." I said, "You're working with me." And there was an opportunity for me to help you. Kind of helped me too. But if we see everybody's mistakes and don't see the opportunity in them, we're missing out.
That's a great reminder to look for the opportunity in everything. An unwanted situation, a mistake. There's likely at least one opportunity in everything if we look for it.
Yeah. Even when we say yes or no.
Or no, yes.
Have you considered what they do in Hollywood? I have friends of mine, really close friends of mine, who are action stars and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things that Hollywood is well known for is no. No. Can you fund this movie? No. Can you? The yes is so powerful when it is said in Hollywood, because an immediate yes is going to cost a lot of money. So no's are very predominant in Hollywood. No, 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 until the yes is so darn strong that they have to say yes. I'm reading 2 scripts right now. I have somebody who's funding it, and he goes, I really want your opinion. And I got to tell you, the first script I started reading was phenomenal. And the first couple of pages really caught me. And he's like, I'm going to California. I'm going to do this. I got these people. There's a couple of high caliber celebrities who already said yes to them, right? So I even got to read them before the celebrities did. And he's afraid that he's going to get a lot of no's. And I said, yes, but you already got the celebrities who said yes. With their backing, you know this is going to happen, right? So in due time.
That's
But
right. That's fun.
no's powerful. Oh my gosh. If I'm ever able to, I'll let you read it too.
Yes. It can be. And I think like anything, it gets easier. The more you do it, right? It just becomes normalized for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you got to keep going out there and fighting for that. Yes, working hard, putting yourself out there. Right. A lot of parallels with entrepreneurship. Right. You know, when I first launched my coaching business, this sounds a little funny, but I was almost eager for the failures. Like I was eager to find out what I didn't know. I was eager for those lessons because we learn so much from our. I think we learn so much more from our failures than we do from our successes. So what didn't work? Why didn't it work? How can I show up better? How can I reach the people I want to help better than last time around?
Yeah.
Every time we have a choice, right? Nikki had a choice when I asked her to be my co-host.
I did.
She actually told me, hang on, I'm not going to say yes right away. And I said, good. That means that you actually have to think about it. And it has to be a heck yes.
That's right. Yes. I wanted to
be...
feel into it. Yeah. I reframed. Oh, I'm sorry, Sifu. I interrupted.
No, I'm just saying it's probably one of the best choices you've ever made. But I'm just saying.
Right, absolutely. That's why I'm still here. Yeah. When Stacey was talking about failure before, I thought of one way that I reframed fail, FAIL, is feedback as I level up. And the questions you gave really go well with that framework. How can I level up? What's something I can improve upon? You know, even if only by 1%, making one tweak at a time. You know, we had a driving analogy before, and it made me think of the flying analogy with the pilot. They're always course correcting. Even 1 degree off, you'll be in a different state. You'll land in a different state if they're 1 degree off.
Yeah. And it's embracing that as not feeling badly about a mistake you made, or not feeling badly that you didn't do something perfectly, which you'll never do, of course, but saying, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to get even better. Right. For me to fly the plane better, to connect with people better.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Think about all the mistakes we have made. But think about all the great lessons we've learned. And if we didn't learn them at the time, can you go back and say, what did I learn? Have you ever done that? I do it often.
Yes.
What have I messed up on?
Yeah.
What have I messed up on?
Well, also, you know, when did so circling back to what we've been talking about, when did I say yes when I really should have said no? And what did I learn from that? And so I'll share, for me, one of those big, oh crap, what did I just say yes to that? And I need to, a time that it really changed my life. I'll share real quickly. I was at a big conference. It was back in 2016. I remember it was a few weeks before the presidential election, and so the timing stuck with me. I was at a big conference in Arizona, about 500 people there, some of whom I knew, and we were about to come back from the lunch break at the conference, and one of the conference organizers who I was friendly with said, "Hey, when we get back from lunch, we're going to have a flash mob up on the stage to kind of get people energized for the afternoon. Will you be up? Will you be one of the first people to come up with us?" And all my introvert alarm bells were going off, but I felt all this pressure to say yes. That I felt like that was, whether that was the cool thing to do, to show that I'm a team player, that people would see me up there, they'd want to learn more about me. So I said yes against my better judgment, and it was horrible. I went up there, I felt like all 500 pairs of eyes were on me, which of course they weren't. And I was so uncomfortable. I felt physically uncomfortable when it was done. And I had to spend the next hour or so hiding out in the ladies' room because I just couldn't be around people. And I looked in the mirror afterwards and I said, "What are you doing? Why'd you say yes to that? You knew you shouldn't have done it." And as a result, not only did you feel sick to your stomach, but you missed an hour of the conference because you've been hiding out in a stall here, right? And so that to me was such an aha moment of, I need to stop pretending to be something I'm not and only say yes to the thing. Don't say yes when my alarm bells are going off. Right.
Pay attention to your body and how you feel.
Oh yeah. And that kind of launched me on, I recognized that the reason I should have said no was rooted in my introversion, and that I think it really set me on this path of exploration to understand, what does being an introvert mean I shouldn't be doing? But more importantly, what does it mean I should be doing? What are the great things about me as an introvert? And how can I use those to say yes to the right things and say yes to things in ways that are going to fuel me and let me show up as my best self?
Love it. Love it. Hey, you gave me thought of every Christmas time I watched the movie Elf. I watched it with my kids. I love the movie, and it's just so funny. So when Elf, Will Ferrell, is going in the sleigh with Santa, and his dad is there with his youngest son, and they're all starting to sing, and the dad is like, he's just mouthing, but he's not singing. And the son looks at him, he goes, "What are you doing? You're not singing." And he feels guilty. All of a sudden he starts singing, and the meter on the sleigh gets higher because he started to believe, he started to feel good. He felt it inside when he actually sang, because when he wasn't singing, it was shallow. But when his true spirit started to come out, boom, he felt good. And that's probably what wound up happening to you the more you started going into, I can be better. I can do more. I can have more doors open if I only allow myself to sing.
Oh yeah. And you get that positive feedback, right? Both from others and how people respond to you and in how you feel about yourself.
Yes, Joey, don't be a cotton-headed. Yes, that's from the movie. That's right. When we can think about our future, we can't see past an hour from now, but we can imagine what it's going to be like. So that's where the visionary aspect of us can fall into. And I can tell you, at 10 o'clock, I have an incredible guest coming on, Brigitte Harferly, who's also my co-host on the Speaking Prowess show. But we're going to just dive into who she is. And she's just an exceptional human being. But then I'm doing another special show today at 12 o'clock. And she's, if you remember the show General Hospital, it's the oldest, still the only soap opera still out there. She's a star in the show. She's going to be on my show at 12 o'clock. So
Who's that star? I'm so curious.
Andy Page is her, and you'll have to come and take a look, right?
Well, I will. I started watching General Hospital in college, and it's amazing to me. Every once in a while, I'll turn it on if if I'm flipping channels in the
Yeah,
middle of the day.
she's one of the newest stars.
Oh,
So
And I
yeah,
laugh, like, I feel like even though I haven't watched it in over a decade or 2 decades, you can pick right up. Right?
that's right.
It doesn't take long to catch up. It's very, very, very formulaic, but in a comforting way.
yeah.
Here's one cool thing that she told me, that when she was a kid, she used to watch it, and now she's
Oh,
on it. Isn't that cool?
Love it.
she must have had that as her vision as she was watching it as a kid, maybe seeing herself part of it, and then here it manifests.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
she's also a creator. She's invented some stuff. She's on QVC and all this stuff. But so my vision is, what can I do later today? What do I have planned? I have my lunch planned. I know what I'm doing this afternoon. Will it go according to my plan? I hope so. But if it doesn't, I need to adapt. I need to navigate, right?
Yeah, I love that idea of setting a vision for the day. I know for myself, when I think of a vision, I think of far future. But how comforting and nice it is to think you could just set a vision for the day and course correct as you go along the way. I'm going to do that. Thanks, Sifu.
Oh, you're welcome, and it's from him, right? Because I ask, how can I share the gifts that you've given me, and I adore every gift I've been given, the ability to breathe, to see, to move, all these things, but then and my mind, because these are gifts that I've been given. How can I share them with my brothers and sisters, right? So everyone, and here's the funny thing. I will say to my sons, "How you doing, my brother?" And my kids look at me. They're like, I said, "Listen, even though you're my son, you're still my brother." And they get a little confused. I say, "Well, we're all God's children. So if we're his children, you're my brother."
And your siblings.
And my siblings at the same time. Almost sounds like a hillbilly story. Hello.
Yes.
You're my brother, my sister, and no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's funny. You know what I
Well,
was
every
thinking
day,
about?
go for it.
I was thinking I wanted to ask Stacy her insights on this when it comes to introverts versus extroverts. Do you think that introverts have an easier time creating a vision because it's easy for them to go inside as opposed to extroverts? Just curious. It popped into my mind, so I figured I'd ask you.
What an interesting question. I've never gotten that before. So I think that introverts and extroverts can do that equally well, but they do it in different ways. So the extroverts are likely to be forming their vision and be fueled in that process by engaging with other people, talking to a large group, feeling the energy in the room and engaging with it. Whereas introverts, like you said, we tend to excel when we have a chance to go deep in our thoughts by ourselves. Also engaging with other people, kind of in a one-on-one situation. And when we're trying to pick up the vibe in a room and capitalize on it, it's not about engaging with people. It's about sitting back and taking it in, right? Absorbing it, sitting with it. And that's going to fuel the way that we can create a vision. So how we're going to get there in the best way is going to be different, as is how we're going to communicate it. So an extrovert might be in their happy place and really shine when they're able to engage with other people around the boardroom table or on the Zoom screen and share their vision and talk to people about what they think about it. Whereas an introvert is probably going to be better communicating that vision in writing or sharing it with people on a one-on-one or smaller group basis.
That's a great answer. What I heard from that was knowing your strengths and how you shine best and leaning into that and honoring it.
Yep. Yep. And in my coaching practice, I call that your positive core. It's taken from a framework called appreciative coaching, which is basically how do you identify the best of who you are, right? Your strengths, your innate gifts, your talents, your unique experiences. And then how do you use that? How do you use your positive core to do all the things in the world, right? To show up at work as your best self, to lead, to create a vision. It should all be rooted in how you're wired, in the best of who you are. And that's when you're going to do your best work, show up as your best self, and really shine.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Love that. So I have another question. As an introvert, I'm a recovering introvert, right? Because I personally, I love being alone. I love being alone. And for the longest time, I've learned how to work by myself without asking for help. And that helped me a lot when I was working for other people as a finished carpenter. Because a lot of times it would be a waste of time having to get somebody to come and help me hold this up. So I created my own jigs. If I'm doing a whole end, I'm doing all this crown molding, all this stuff. I created stuff so I wouldn't have to go ask for somebody and stop their work so they can come hold this for me. And people would come by and look at me. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm moving, right? And sometimes they're like, "Let me help you." I'm like, "No, you go do what you need to do." So the question that I have for you is, when you're in that creative space as an introvert, are you bothered when somebody comes and invades that space?
Well, I'm zeroing in on that word invade, right? So if it's unexpected and not wanted, it can often break your rhythm, right? We're sitting there, we have our process. I know for me as an introvert, and everyone is unique, of course. I need that block of time where I can dive deep, whether it's in creativity, innovation, strategy, writing something. The interruptions derail me. So for me, and I think for many introverts, that would knock us off track a little bit. However, when there's a lot of value, even for introverts, from getting input from other people, from getting help. But I think that because that's going to often help your creative process, help your innovation, help your strategic thinking. But it's better if it's scheduled ahead of time, so you know to expect it, you can prepare for it. I mean, ideally, it's in writing. A lot of us do a lot better when we can read through it on our own time and have a chance to reread it and then respond to someone. But there's certainly value in that iterative live engagement process. It's just better for many introverts if it's on the calendar ahead of time.
I'm so
You can
glad
only
you said
interrupt me from this time to that time.
Well, yeah, and then it's not an interruption.
Right. And so recently somebody called me, wasn't scheduled, just called, and I had plans to work on something specific. It's like, oh, I've got no meetings for these 3 hours. Great. I get to actually work on this. I pick up the phone. It was a 40-minute conversation. And, it ended up going to where he was giving me some suggestions, and that wasn't where my head was at. It completely derailed me. And somehow when the call ended, I lost 2 hours. I don't know doing what. And then I was mad at myself. But listening to you, it's like, oh, that's a trait of introverts. So yeah, so maybe knowing that now, my lesson that I can learn is if I have something set in my mind, I don't pick up the phone. And that's a reason why I don't like to just pick up the phone and call people, although I've been told to do that. You're in sales, pick up the phone, call people. Well, I don't like when it's done to me if it's not on my schedule. So I don't like to do it to others.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? We hesitate to
Yes.
call someone without texting or emailing them first. And I do this with friends as well. I schedule phone calls with close friends. When can you talk tomorrow? When you think back, like decades back, your phone would ring in your house, your phone that was attached to the wall or had a cord before caller ID. You didn't know who was calling you. You didn't know when they were going to call. And you had to pick up the phone, right? Because it could have been someone important. You just didn't know. So
That's right.
our technology and our norms around that these days are a lot more aligned with how introverts function. right?
Mhm.
You get that notice.
That's why I should have put my phone on vibrate. My sister called. Now, what if I would have said, hey, ladies, can you hang on a minute? I got to answer my sister's call. And it would have been, and I never said to her, hey, I'm in the middle of something. And if you ever feel like you have to answer somebody's call, this is my tip for you. I had to answer, but I'm in the middle of something. Can I call you back at? I got to go. Right. If you don't feel like they're gonna, because some people like, you didn't answer my call, and they get crazy, right? Family members, people, and I'm like, well, or I love this meme that I saw. It was Kermit the Frog, and he's on his phone, and he's doing this, and it was a thing. He goes, don't you hate it when people text you and tell you to call me? He goes, you know what I do now? I call people and tell them to text me.
That's great. That's great.
And I thought that was fabulous. By the way, we are so done. Oh my goodness. Stacy, what did I tell you last week when we were on the show, that every time I see you, I just keep falling in love with you. You're an incredible human being.
Thank you. Back
Don't
at
ever
you.
stop don't ever stop, right? And Nikki, you know how I feel about you. What I'd love for you to do, Stacy, at this point is just give us a little bit about what somebody can expect when they reach out to you. We have your website going across. You have 30, 45 seconds.
Thank you, Sifu. So my business is called I Factor Leadership. You can find me at ifactorleadership.com. And I would love to connect with you. One of the things I do is offer a free initial introvert career strategy call. And we'll start off with what I talked about earlier, helping you as an introvert begin to identify what are your core strengths. And then how can you use those strengths to set goals and start to create a career plan that's going to help you achieve them, all in ways that tap into the best of who you are. Don't have to pretend to be extroverted. It's not going to succeed when you do it that way. So how can you identify and tap into who you truly are as an introvert, the wonderful human being and professional and leader that you're meant to be?
Love it. Love it. Definitely reach out to Stacy, everybody. And then Nikki, you have an incredible program and so forth. Tell us about you.
Thank you, Sifu. So yes, I'm Nikki Gangemi, and my company is Mindful Matters, LLC. I call myself a personal trainer for your mind, helping people to rid themselves of those invisible roadblocks, such as self-doubt. And coming up on January 23rd, I have a complimentary workshop where I'll be teaching self-doubt to self-mastery, a goal alignment framework to help you bridge the gap. So I'll share the details in the chat later.
Wow, I love it. I love it. And I'm Sifu Rafael. And what can I say? I love our conversation today. And that's what I teach. I teach people how to communicate way better than they ever thought they could. How to stop leaving money on the table, people. Make your life worth living through your communication skills. Make your connections stronger. Be there for someone. So my email is sifu@speakingprowess.com. My website is speakingprowess.com. Come join me. And I look forward to always bringing you incredible guests. And what can I tell you? I have an incredible co-host. And if you're interested, in about 12 minutes, you're going to join me and Brigitte Harfarley, who is an incredible human being. Thank you, everybody. What a pleasure. Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Take care. You guys stay on for a second. We're just going to say goodbye to everybody. All right. All right. Bye, everybody.